The other day, like any other day, I grabbed Mark's phone. I wasn't even looking for anything, just a quick check of the time or weather, something like that. Then I see it, her name, not just any name, and a flirty little message I could practically feel rolling right off the screen. I just stood there, frozen, some weird mix between hot and cold zipping up my spine. I didn't move for an hour, maybe more. Just sat there, replaying stuff in my head. Like how she always touched his arm when they'd laugh together, or how their work meetings went late at the office. So stupid. It's one thing to wonder, to be a little suspicious, it's another to have that sick feeling in your gut turn out right. It's like your whole world comes crashing down. Over the next few days, I was off. It's dumb, but I was a wreck. I cried, yelled at the dog, ate a whole pint of ice cream in one night, the whole pathetic housewife deal. Then, it was like a switch flipped inside. That gut feeling wasn't just sick anymore, it felt sharp. Like a burning kind of anger. I wasn't gonna sit around letting him make a fool of me. I decided I needed to know for sure. Mark's always been so careless with his phone. He's one of those obsessed calendar guys, so that's where I started. And guess what? He had all these blocks marked MTG, which is code for meeting, I guess. Only they weren't in his office or anywhere work-related. One of those blocks was way out in the fancy part of town at a wine bar him and I never go to. It hit me like a truck. That's where he was going with her. Sarah, my so-called friend, Sarah, my husband's boss's wife. The thought of them together, laughing and maybe touching like they used to when she'd visit made me want to throw up. All the pieces started falling into place. Her fake caring about our problems, his work emergencies, the nights he'd come home smelling like her perfume. The whole thing made my stomach turn. But it also made me see red. I wasn't going to let them get away with this, not after everything. My hands started shaking, but not from being scared, from the feeling of, I don't even know what. But it wasn't sadness anymore, that's for sure. I started keeping an eye on him. Not in a crazy way, just paying attention. When'd he leave for work, when'd he actually get home? Turns out, those late nights weren't so innocent. They met in little cafes, that damn wine bar again, places out by the lake no one would suspect. Each time I saw them, something in me got harder. I started snapping little pictures, not great ones, but enough to know where and when their little lies took place. It was weird. I'm no detective, but it's all so clear now. I'm not just some pathetic wife anymore. I'm smarter than that, and focused. They think they're getting away with it, but they're so wrong. I'm going to make sure they both pay. I'm gonna make them wish they never crossed me. Tonight's the night I play my next card. I didn't just sit around crying, I got smart. I know their spot, the little fancy place with the overpriced wine. Mark thinks I'm an idiot, that I don't see the way he lights up around Sarah. I decided it was time to make sure he saw me, really saw me. I took extra time with my hair, picked out my best dress, the one Mark always used to compliment. It's not for him anymore, though. This whole thing is a performance, and I'm the star. I walk in, acting all casual, like, oh, funny seeing you here. Mark nearly chokes on his fancy fish. Sarah, she tries to act like I'm crazy, like who would suspect nice, helpful Sarah? She's so fake. But I know they both saw the flash behind my smile. They think I'm just suspicious, which is fine. Let them underestimate me. Then, it was Jake's turn. Jake's the boss, a bit stuck up, but not dumb. I figure, play on that. Just a little hint here, a touch there. It's kinda fun, in a messed up way. Just letting him think maybe his buddy Mark isn't the perfect golden boy he always assumed. Mark doesn't see it, he's too focused on covering his tracks with Sarah. But Jake's different. He's started giving me these long looks, trying to figure me out, see if there's a reason. All according to plan. Oh, and Sarah. I haven't forgotten about her. Found a way to send her little reminders. Nothing traceable, of course. Just enough to make her think someone's watching, that someone knows. It's subtle stuff, a time, a place they went, a little inside joke only they'd understand, just enough to shake her up. Let her know everything's not as safe as she thinks. It's hilarious. At the office, the whole vibe has changed. Jake's all stiff, watching Mark and Sarah like a hawk, trying to catch a slip-up. No one says anything out loud, but you can cut the tension with a knife. They're all on edge, wondering who knows, who's going to blow their little perfect lies wide open. The other day, I even caught Jake giving Mark the side eye during a meeting. Like, actually checking to see if Mark was sneaking glances at Sarah. The whole thing is almost comical if it wasn't so messed up. Mark's too busy playing innocent to notice the walls closing in around them. It won't be long now, not with all the pieces I'm putting into place. They're going down, and I'm going to be the one watching it happen. It's funny, in a twisted way. Mark and Sarah, they got so sloppy, thinking they were in the clear, that I just roll over and accept it. I guess that's cheating 101. Get cocky, and then you slip up. Started taking crazy risks. Meeting in broad daylight, way too obvious. They looked like two teenagers sneaking around when they thought I wasn't watching, all jumpy every time a door opened. Made my job a lot easier, if I'm being honest. But the real masterpiece was playing Mark. See, I knew I needed him to think he was winning me back, getting off the hook. So, I started acting normal. Put on a happy face, made dinner like nothing was wrong. Even complimented the stupid new tie he'd bought, the same one Sarah probably picked out. He just lapped it up, the idiot. He thinks I'm starting to trust him again. Little does he know, this is just the quiet before the storm. Then, I figured, might as well speed things up. Needed another angle, and little Miss Assistant at Jake's office seemed ripe for the picking. You know the type. Always worried about her boss, wants to be in on everything. So, I started sidling up to her at office things, being all friendly and asking about Jake, like was he stressed, or acting weird. Just little things, but you could see the wheels turning in her head. It worked like a charm. She started paying closer attention to Jake, watching to see if anything was upsetting him. Of course, with me whispering sweet nothings in her ear, she was bound to notice Mark and Sarah acting sneaky. I don't even know how it all went down. If she saw something or found something, doesn't matter. All that matters is the fallout. Jake flipped out, went full-on bull in a china shop. You can imagine the scene. Yelling, Sarah crying those fake tears of hers. Mark. Well, he looked like someone had just punched him in the gut. Oh, it was delicious. Sarah's out. Those little ladies' lunches she used to host, cancelled. Mark can barely show his face at work. Everyone whispering behind his back. Mark tried to pin it on me at first. Who else would do this? I just shrugged, all innocent. I'd planned for that too. I made sure I was nowhere to be found the day everything blew up. Left him sweating, wondering, but with absolutely no proof. And that's the best part. He knows, deep down, but he can never be sure. He'll doubt himself every second until he can't stand it anymore. Might even drive him a little crazy, and that, my friends, is what you call sweet, sweet revenge. Sarah's a wreck. Everyone knows, everyone's talking about it. Should make me feel bad, seeing my old friend. Well, not so much a friend anymore. But, hey, I didn't start this war. Serves her right, if you ask me. I even went up to her the other day, all concerned like, asking if she was okay, needed anything. She looked like she wanted to spit in my eye, but managed a weak, I'm fine. The best part is, I know she thinks I'm just rubbing it in. Which, fair enough, I kind of am. Then, there's the big move, the one that seals the deal. Jake. It wasn't hard, getting close to him. Everyone's whispering about his meltdown, so of course, I was there, all sympathetic, offering to help out at the office, take some of the load off. And Jake? Well, he's weak right now. One little drink for comfort. One shared look that's a bit too long, and the rest is history. I'm not gonna lie, it's not about love, or even much about Jake. This is about owning the whole game, every piece on the board. Of course, Mark knows. I haven't said a word to him, haven't had to. The way I look at Jake now, the little inside jokes we share, it's all for Mark's benefit. I don't even try to hide it. I caught him watching me yesterday, his face. I don't even have words. Broken? Yeah, broken is a good word. He knows he's beat, and he knows I won. Sarah's not even a player anymore. Couldn't face it, I guess. Heard she packed up and left town last week. Honestly, good riddance. One down. Now, it's just me and Mark left on the battlefield, playing out the last bit of this mess. I'm the one comforting him, the one being strong. Let him think that. It makes it so much more delicious when he cries those pathetic little tears. Knowing it's me who made him this way, me who took it all. He's a shell of the man he thought he was, All thanks to his smart little wife who turned out to be a hell of a lot smarter than him. Now that's revenge. Jake's such a fool. It's almost embarrassing how easy it is. He thinks we're some crazy, in love couple, but it's all an act. The real fun is how easy it makes twisting the knife in Mark's back. All it takes is a well-timed sigh, a little headshake, and Jake fills in the blanks himself. I tell him these stories about how Mark used to act, how he's always been so good at putting on a nice guy front to hide his real self. Just little hints about how maybe, even before Sarah, there were other women, other secrets. Jake laps it up, starts giving Mark that side eye whenever we're all in a room together. It's the perfect revenge seeing your husband betrayed by his best friend. And Mark? Where to even start? It's like watching a bug get squashed, slow and pathetic. That fancy job of his, poof, gone thanks to Jake. And those old buddies he loved to brag about, the ones who used to come to our barbecues. They avoid him like the plague now. He spends most of his days locked up in that house of ours, which suits me just fine. See, the thing about Mark, he's always gotta be in control. It's why he cheated in the first place, thinking he could get away with it. So, me just disappearing for hours at a time, no note, no nothing, it eats away at him. That's when he started tailing me. It was almost funny at first, the way he'd try to hide behind cars or pop up way too casually in the grocery store. Like that wasn't even more suspicious. But it was the look in his eyes that got to me, that twitchy, desperate thing. Like he was afraid of his own mind. That's when the real fun started. Since he already thinks I've got some secret lover, I figured I might as well play along. Some days, I actually do meet a friend for coffee, and I make sure he finds, like, the receipt crumpled at the bottom of my purse. Other times, I'll just go to the park and sit on a bench, totally in plain sight, but I'll leave some random thing where he's bound to find it, an earring that's not mine, a bookstore bookmark. He analyzes these things like they're clues in a murder mystery, getting all obsessed and trying to connect dots that aren't there. He's unraveling, and it's glorious. He doesn't even see me as the threat anymore. He's focused on all these imaginary affairs, chasing ghosts, while I'm right here, under his nose, the one who made it all happen. He'll never figure it out. Men like Mark, they think they're so damn clever. But sometimes, it's the quiet ones who are playing the longest game, the ones you should really be afraid of. Mark's unraveling is delicious to watch. He's become a pathetic shadow of his old, cocky self, following me around like a lost puppy. The other day, I spotted him lurking outside work, trying to blend in behind a ridiculously skinny tree. It was almost comical how bad he is at being sneaky. He thinks I don't notice, but I do, oh I do. Every little twitch, every worried glance he shoots my way, it's fuel to my fire. Usually, I'd let it go, but I had a flash of inspiration. See, I know the guys at the office have always had a bit of a competitive streak with Mark, always those little side comments and jokes. So, I took advantage. Organized a few casual after-work drinks, got a little chattier than usual, let a laugh linger a bit too long. Made damn sure Mark saw the whole performance, just enough to plant that seed of doubt. He went ballistic. The look on his face was priceless. His mind raced exactly where I wanted it to. And you know what? It's been pure gold. Mark's paranoia's gone into overdrive. He jumps to conclusions better than an Olympic athlete. Now he's convinced himself I've got a whole new fling going on, some secret lover he hasn't figured out yet. He doesn't even question it, just adds it to the ever-growing list of ways I've betrayed him. The funny thing is, I don't even have to lie anymore. His imagination does all the dirty work for me. But Sarah, that's where the true fun began. Bumped into her on purpose at the mall, played that concerned friend act to perfection. Let's just say I wasn't shy about hinting it was Mark who kicked things off between them, that she was the one who got played. Slipped in those little comments about his manipulative ways, how he always targets the vulnerable. Sarah, bless her wounded heart, practically vibrated with rage. She's been driven half mad wondering who was the real puppet master, and I was more than happy to let her think she'd found her answer. Turns out, Sarah's not one to take things lying down. Heard from a friend of a friend that she went straight for Mark. Full-on screaming match right there in the middle of the sidewalk. At first, Mark tried to act all high and mighty, but Sarah knows how to push his buttons. He cracked, started spitting insults, every horrible thing he could think of. It was a glorious meltdown, The kind you only dream about when plotting revenge. The whole town's buzzing with it now. And the best part? Everyone's taking Mark's side. Poor Mark. Lost his mind because of that awful woman, they say. That Sarah always was a bit off, wasn't she? And me? I'm the grieving wife, the picture of patience and understanding, doing my best to handle this mess my poor, misguided husband created. They all think I'm the victim, not the mastermind. Mark was always obsessed with looking like the perfect, in-control husband. Well, look at him now. Lost everything. Job, friends, that pristine reputation he cared about so much. But the best part? He's lost his grip on his own sanity. He can't tell what's real and what's the poison I feed him. All that control he thought he had, it was an illusion. And I'm the one who shattered it, piece by devastating, glorious piece. Breaking up with Jake wasn't that hard. I cried a bit, talked about how sorry I was, how I'd been messed up with grief and made a terrible mistake. Jake, always thinking he's the one calling the shots, ate it up. Now he's acting like I betrayed him, walking around the office all wounded and dramatic. Doesn't matter now that the damage is done. He's lost his fancy job, his big house, and most importantly, any respect he had left. No wife, no job, no friends. That's what happens when you cross me. Mark's. Well, there's almost nothing left of him. He barely leaves the house. Most days he just drinks, which frankly makes my life a lot easier. He rants and raves, talking about conspiracies and how everyone's out to get him. At first, it was kind of amusing, but now it just gets annoying. Time to put phase 2 of Operation Get Rid of Mark into action. The therapist was a stroke of genius, honestly. At first, I was all sympathetic wife, talking about how worried I was about Mark's state of mind, how I thought therapy could help him process everything. Then, I started dropping in the really juicy bits stories about Mark's outbursts, how he'd smashed dishes, ranted about people spying on him. I even showed the therapist a few of those clues I'd left for him. That fake earring, a receipt for a hotel I'd never even been to. She had that same look in her eye. Jake did, a mix of pity and just a little bit of fear. The meeting yesterday was perfect. He seems very agitated, the therapist said, all concerned like. Perhaps a short period of observation would be beneficial? Bingo. The magic words. Mark tried to protest, but it was pathetic. I'm not crazy. He kept yelling, but you could see in his eyes, he knew he was finished. Me. I just stood there, nodding along like the perfect, patient wife, agreeing with everything the therapist said. It's almost done now. Soon, Mark will be locked away, diagnosed with all sorts of things he probably doesn't even have. They'll take care of him, one way or another. And me? Well, I'll be free. I'll finally be able to start over, build the life I always deserved, one without liars and cheats and men who think they can get away with hurting me. It's been a long time coming, but I'll finally be on my own. And honestly, that feels pretty damn good. Getting Mark locked up was surprisingly easy. I played it smart, tears, pleading with the doctors about how he'd lost it, how he was dangerous to himself and everyone around him. And of course, I brought them all his crazy rants, the ranting texts, anything that would prove how unhinged he'd become. They didn't even hesitate. 1 minute he was yelling in my face, the next, he was being strapped to a gurney and wheeled away. Honestly, that was the moment I knew I'd won. With him gone, everything is mine now. His money, the house. Hell, even his reputation, that's mine now too. People look at me with those pity eyes, like I'm some poor woman whose husband went insane. They don't suspect a thing, not a single thing. Of course, I still have to play the part. I visit him at the hospital, put on my best brave but worried face for the doctors and nurses. How's he doing? I ask, voice shaking just a bit. They always give me the same vague answers, but I don't really listen. What I'm watching for is the change in him. Each time, Mark's a little more broken, a little more vacant. Did I break him? Or was it always in there, waiting to come out? Who cares now? The result's the same. Soon, he won't even know who I am anymore. That's when I can stop visiting, cut the last ties, and really move on. Maybe I'll find someone new, someone nice and kind and nothing like Mark. Or maybe not. There's a part of me that kind of likes being on my own, not having to answer to anyone, not having to worry about getting stabbed in the back. Whatever I decide, it'll be my choice. For the first time in my life, everything's my choice. The people from our old life, they've vanished. Probably figured out what a mess he was, even before all this. Or maybe they blame me. Maybe they think I'm the one who drove him crazy. They can believe whatever they want. The truth is, they don't matter anymore, not a single one of them. I'm starting to think about everything. Who I want to be now that none of that old life matters anymore. I could move, get a new name, totally reinvent myself. The possibilities are endless. And that's the best part, the best revenge of all. Whatever happens from here on out, it'll be because I made it happen, because I chose it. He took so much from me, now it's my turn to take it all back.